He joins me ahead of his next fight at LFA 184. His name's Lerryan Douglas Oliveira, but everyone just calls him Dougie. Dougie, welcome to the program, sir. I'm glad we could link up, man.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you, man. Thank you for having me here.
Well, it is an absolute pleasure to have you with me today. You are a young guy. You're not even 30 years old yet, and you've accomplished so much in the world of mixed martial arts. You fought all over the world with all kinds of different promotions. And I was curious, how have all of your experiences in all of these different promotions, fighting the best guys all over the world, how has that shaped you as a fighter today?
It's all experience. If you have the mission, you go, you fight, and I'm sure you're gonna learn from it, even though you lose or win. It's
Mhm.
always a plus. You're gonna learn something. So I bet I learn a lot.
And for you specifically, this will be your fourth fight in the United States. And I know that you've relocated from Brazil. I know that's not easy to do, to move to a different country, train with different people, and get new teammates, all that other stuff. What drove you to train in the United States?
Once 2021, I came to the Killer Bees, one of the affiliations that I used to train in Brazil, and I came to this place in North Carolina. And a friend of mine just invited me to come over to Jackson Wink, and then I just love it, man. Like, met a lot of friends over there, and then I got here through Dan Argueta. He kind of like introduced me to the people to the West Coast. So now I'm training at Bloodline Combat Sports. So we got a huge team over there. Like, we got wrestlers, we got strikers, high level. So I'm really happy with the structure that I've been having in the U.S.
Dougie, do you miss Brazil at all? Do you ever get the opportunity to go back there and go back home and train with some of the people for where you're from? Do you ever get to do that at all, or are you here pretty much all the time now?
Now I'm here for like full time
Mhm.
because I have a visa that it's special ability, something like that.
Mhm.
So they changed just my status. So I need to have a stamp to travel. So it makes me stay here for like 3 years.
I completely understand. I know that can't be easy to be away from your home. I look at your resume though, and one of the reasons why I'm such a fan of you is because you'll fight anybody, and like you fight the best. All of your fights are really exciting, and I feel like you're kind of an old school fighter for being a young guy. Like MMA has changed. It's a lot different. I see a lot of like young talented fighters and they fight a bunch of nobodies. They fight a bunch of really easy guys, and then they get to Bellator, then they get to PFL or UFC or whatever, and then they don't do so good. And I think it's because they took the easy road. You have not taken the easy road. Your resume proves that. Do you feel that is a big problem in MMA today with fighters taking a lot of easy fights?
I would say that it's a problem for themselves, because if you take easy fights like to build your record to get to the UFC, PFL, or Bellator, and you're not even ready. Like sometimes you're good technically, you're doing good in the gym, but when you get to that level, like you're fighting like guys that high level fighters. So sometimes they trick themselves like that, and sometimes they got frustrated. They gave up the career because they thought they were good. But I'm really like, I think the right way to go is just do your career, like fight whoever like they think the promoter and the matchmaker thinks will be a good fight, and just take it. I think that's the way to get there, and that's how you get more experience.
Take me back to LFA 164. You fought a tough kid. His name's Isaac Thompson. That was a fight that did not go your way. What was like the biggest thing you learned from that fight at LFA 164?
What I learned is whenever you have a full camp, focus and train well, you're gonna do a good fight.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I learned. So I took the fight against Isaac Thompson. That was my first LFA fight. I took the fight like short notice, but I felt that I was ready, but I wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not an excuse. He got me, and you know, who knows? Maybe one day we'll cross the ways again.
Dougie, that fight happened in August of 2023, and then only a few months later, they asked you to fight at LFA 172 against Ivan Tena. And I looked at this fight, and I was like, okay, well, this guy's like really good. They're putting him up against another really good top prospect, but it's only been like 3 months. Like, what prompted you to take the fight in such short fashion? You're not talking about a lot of time in between fights.
Yeah, what happened was I fought it in Texas, right, against Isaac Thompson, and then I went to New Mexico to train with Pico. He's a really good friend of mine, and then he fought, and I came to California to meet my team, and also train with Chris Cyborg. By the way, I live in her house, and she's like a really good friend of mine too. And I came here, and I was like in shape already because I was training with Pico after my fight, and then I helped Chris Cyborg on her camp as well. So I was feeling good, and then they called me, and I was like, "Fuck yeah, let's go."
Can you tell me a little bit, like, you look at that matchup, and I looked at this and I was like, this fight might be really tough. I think everyone thinks Tena's going to win, but you're talking about a guy who's probably coming under the radar a little bit. I knew about your training background. I know the people you trained with. I knew you did work in at Jackson Wink. And did it kind of like make you amused a little bit going into the fight? Like, wow, no one is really talking about me. No one's really giving me a chance to win this fight. I think I can use this to my advantage.
Yeah, the whole camp I thought he was, which is true, right? He's a tough kid, and the whole camp I respected. Like, I was expecting a tough fight, and thank God it went in my way. I got the win in the first round, but I knew, his background. I knew he supposed to be a good fight, like a tough fight. So I just kept working and get ready for that. That's my mindset.
Dougie, what you did at LFA 172 was one of the most spectacular knockouts that I saw in all of 2023. I absolutely loved that knockout. Can you walk me through how you were able to put him away with your left?
I threw once, and I see that he felt it a little bit. So I thought that was the way. So I was just setting up, like jab, moving my head, and as soon as I saw he was about to throw something on me, and I just, did it at the same time, because I felt that I found the distance and the range. So I start setting up for the next one.
Is that when you like look over all of your career, like you've done this time and time again, you can submit people, you can knock them out with your striking. How does your most recent fight against Tena, where does that rank on your list of finishes? Is that the best one?
I would say, yeah. I had a really good one in Brazil too. That was a good fight.
Mm-hmm.
It was one fight before Thompson. That was a good one too.
When you look into your matchups, do you approach all your fights the same way? Like, I'm going to finish this guy. I'm going to put this guy away with my striking, or do you have different game plans for your opponents?
Oh, definitely different game plans. And to be honest, against Ivan Tena, my game plan was taking down and working on my jiu-jitsu. Yeah, that was my game plan. It's just fight, man. Like, you gotta learn how to change the game plan during the fight. So that was my game plan. Just start a fight, boxing, grappling, taking down, use your jiu-jitsu. That was my game plan.
And a very impressive win for you. And now here we go. LFA 184, that's going to be happening here in a few weeks on May 17th. I'm sure you're really excited to perform in Southern California because I know that's where you're based out of now. When did LFA approach you and ask you to fight on LFA 184?
We were trying to get me a fight there like a month before they gave me this fight. They try to give me they try to match up with a few guys from California, but didn't work out. And and they just reached out to my manager, and we got an opponent, I think, and work out.
Your opponent, his name is Nathan Ghareeb. This is a guy that I'm pretty familiar with. He's got a 9-2 record, and he's on a bit of a winning streak as of late. What is your opinion on your opponent, and how come a lot of guys aren't beating this guy?
I mean, he's a tough guy. Like,
Mm-hmm.
he's a tough guy, and he has like a good striking, good wrestling background. I know, like on this level, like you try to get to the UFC, you're gonna like always face someone that stuff. That's the only thing I saw. You know, I did some research. I saw some videos and I watched some videos. Yeah, it's gonna be a good fight.
I look at him and I think he's similar to you in a way that this guy goes to finish fights. You go to finish fights. This fight against him, this is not going to go the distance. I know that. You guys are not going to need the judges. I think you are the most difficult opponent he's faced in the cage to date in his career. Is that something you agree with?
I would say yes.
Mm-hmm.
I would agree with you. I didn't see that much about like his opponents. Watched the most recent fights he did,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, I would say that.
When you look at Ghareeb and you think about your skills, you think about your grappling, your wrestling, and your striking, where do you feel you have the biggest advantage over him in this fight?
I would say my jiu-jitsu.
Well, I won't ask you too much about that because I want to watch this fight here in a few weeks. So I'm okay with leaving it a mystery. We'll leave it at that. And Dougie, for people who've never seen you fight before, like, I'm on you because I just think you're an exciting guy that goes out there and you look to put people away. And that is what I would say about why somebody should watch you fight. But what are some other things about yourself that you think people will like when they watch LFA 184?
I always look for the finish. It doesn't matter. That's my fighting style, and hopefully you guys can link up and watch the fights. It's gonna be amazing.
You're definitely going to want to watch that, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you tune into UFC Fight Pass. This fight will happen on May 17th, LFA 184. You are not going to want to miss it. About Cyborg, in my opinion, she is one of the most iconic fighters that's ever put on a pair of MMA gloves. And this is somebody that you know really well. You've been training with for a very long time. And what does that do? What kind of impact has Cyborg had on your career up to this point? And does that give you confidence that you have what it takes to succeed at the next level of mixed martial arts?
Oh, there's no doubt about that. Like, you know, like even being around her, like she motivates me a lot, and I feel like the first month that I was here, I felt that like I was like more motivated, more like into it. You know, like I can feel that because you know I've been around like high level fighters like Chris Cyborg, you know, Cub Swanson, and Neiman Gracie, all these guys that you know like pretty good fighters. So it makes me feel good, confident for sure. But Cyborg has been an amazing friend, and as I said, like I'm very motivated to have her around, and we travel for training together, and her and her husband has been treating me really well. So I appreciate the friendship.
Dougie, LFA 184, who's going to be in your corner, and who have been some of your main partners for this camp?
Oh, my main partners, Chris Marcotte, and also I train at the boxing gym in Indio with Coach Joel Diaz. So I have a bunch of friends over there too that I spar boxing. But here, I usually train with Chris Marcotte, Jacob, Machete, Dennis Silva, so Cub Swanson. Our room is pretty tough here. I would say that's the toughest room in California, no doubt, dude.
Yeah, I don't think anyone could argue with you there. Dougie, I really appreciate your time. And I wanted to ask you one final question here before we go. You come to the U.S., guy from Brazil, and you know we have a lot of good food here. And you're in California, and there's some amazing Mexican food there. And I've got to ask you, like, what is your favorite Mexican dish?
Oh, the Mexican dish. I would go in simple with just tacos, but I have tried like, yeah, I would say tacos, bro. It's like my favorite one.
So is that what you're going to smash after this fight? You're going to eat some tacos and maybe drink a beer?
Definitely.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you tune in and watch the fight. Dougie, if there's anyone that you wanted to thank, or if there are any sponsors out there that you would like to talk about before I let you go, let's do it.
Yeah, sure. I just want to thank you, all my sponsor, Phyta Protein, LMT, and also AMA, which is like a clinic that treats fighters and helps them to recover. So it's been like a game changer in my training camps, and, preparing for fights. So it's been amazing.
Well, you have been amazing, sir. I really appreciate your time today, and I wish you the best of skill at LFA 184. Thank you for being on the program, and I look forward to having you back really soon.
I appreciate you, brother.